Hi there. This is Jake. I'm from Tasasa Road Trips, where we strive to be our own man. We, on this channel, will bring you ventures that most people would just love to take if they had the chance. So sit back, enjoy the trip, and don't forget, when it's all said and done, be your own man. Alright, so we are just kind of settling in now to the San Fernando Valley.
In 3/4 of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Presidential Drive.
This is my first trip to the President Reagan Presidential Library. There's a presidential library, the Nixon Presidential Library is a little bit closer to where I live in Yorba Linda, California, but I haven't been to that one either. So this will be my first experience at a presidential library, so everything else I will probably base off of this visit and comparisons. I do like how they have all the different presidents up here on the lampposts, light poles. I believe they are in order. I've never been here, so this will be news for me and for you if you've never been here too. The doors of this library are open now and all are welcome. The judgment of history is left to you, the people. Have no fears of that, for we have done our best. And so I say, come and learn from it. Ronald Reagan. So this portion of the tour was the intro to the tour. What you're going to see initially is a young Reagan, his young family with his parents and whatnot. I did try to do a few of the quotes. This one ended up turning it sideways. Not exactly sure how I did that, but must have been the awesome camera work. But basically, what you'll see in this little corridor is you will see the young Reagan as he was growing up in his formative years. You'll also see that initially he was a communist. He was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, and so this part of the tour indicated that, and then eventually on this part of the tour, what you will see is that his life continually progressed from young childhood to college to the Screen Actors Guild, and then I believe in 1976 he got, well, I think he was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, so he was kind of political a little bit already. But in 1976, something flipped the switch for him where he became conservative because he was concerned about the way America was turning out. And so, because of that, he started off as the governor of
We get a couple
California
more people?
in
No.
1976. Here you'll see his White House Oval Office replicated. This is what his looked like. And this is Air Force One. Just a second. Um, try to get another shot of this, but it's pretty.
All right, so we just got done touring the President Reagan Library. I was born in 1970, so I didn't get to fully appreciate the 1960s as much as my parents did when we got ourselves into Vietnam. JFK started that by sending troops over, and then Lyndon Johnson escalated it to the point where we were then kind of at war. And so as that war continued on, it became less and less popular because there wasn't any real objective to the battle. So one of the things that we did is in the 1970s, after losing a lot of good men in Vietnam, the United States was in a period of self-loathing. It started in the 1960s. Vietnam had become a losing proposition for us, and so our national identity, our national culture had really deteriorated. There wasn't a lot of technological innovation other than going to the moon in 68. And but other than that, I'd say the United States was in a kind of like a period of mourning. Didn't really have a national identity. And then Nixon happened in '72, and things got worse with Watergate, and the national attitude, the national culture just really slipped. In the mid-1970s and 1976, President Carter took over, and we had some really bad inflation. The economy was in a nosedive, and honestly, there were some governmental decisions that were made during that era that affected the economy in a very negative way. We were reeling economically with extremely high interest rates and inflation, and we just couldn't seem to find our way out of it. And then enter Reagan in 1980, who pretty much his premise was, let's make America great. Not necessarily again, but let's just make America great, and make it a land of freedom, and make it a land of believing that you can do anything that you want to do. And that's what I remember growing up in the 1980s. I was a young boy. I remember my parents struggling in the 70s and us not having a whole lot of money. And I remember the opportunities that just seemed to open up when Reagan took office. It didn't start off great for him in 1981. 1982, the economy continued to struggle until we kind of finally made some great economic decisions in regards to interest rates and the Fed. And then things started to improve. The 1984 Olympics, which happened under Reagan, really kind of seemed to really spread this Americanism that was lacking in the 1970s. And it was a great time of patriotism and just kind of feeling like you could, because in the 1970s it felt like you couldn't. So here I am today. I'm here at the Presidential Library, honoring the man who led us through that period of great patriotism, great rebirth, and Ronald Reagan and Nancy and all the people who fought for us, and all the people that were involved in reestablishing Americanism and just a positive vibe in the American culture. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, this is Jake. Just got kind of real emotional about the Reagan Presidential Library here. It's if you get a chance to visit any presidential library, it'll bring back memories of any living president that you attend their library, and I encourage you to do it. I don't care which president it was. Just a really great experience to go and kind of relive the past. It was really interesting to see some of the newscasts, some of the
history of President Reagan, from his youth on through his governorship, on through his presidency, and his life here in California, which is actually kind of, he spent a lot of time here in California. So yeah, just want to encourage you to do that. It just kind of pumped my spirits to do that. So if you ever get a chance to go to a presidential library, please visit. They are really national treasures, and want to encourage you to do that. All right, we'll be right back here with some more here on Testosterone Trips in just a few. One of the joys of California is how you can go from a concrete jungle, pretty big city into a smaller rural farming community. You can take some of these pretty cool back roads, curvy 45-mile-an-hour roads, and it's kind of fun. So stay tuned. We're going to be bringing you a little bit of that old school California here pretty soon. We have coming up is one of the prettiest coastlines in the state of California. It's a bit rocky beach and it's a bit sandy beach, but it is along Ventura County, where Ventura County becomes Santa Barbara County. And we'll go in and out here just so you can see it, but basically as soon as we get over this bluff, you see nothing but ocean for about 20 miles. So here we go, over the bluff. If you can make them out, but those are the Channel Islands out there. You can kind of see them through the smog. Welcome to California. But yeah, so there you go.
So here we are at Stearns Wharf. It is the pier at Santa Barbara. So you'll notice that a lot of people fish on this pier. It's a very popular thing to do in California, is fishing off of piers. I didn't notice anybody catching anything, but they still try. Then you don't see cruise boats too often in Santa Barbara Port, but occasionally you will see a cruise boat in Santa Barbara, and so you see a pretty large boat there. As we continue walking over on the pier here, you'll notice in the upper right, now that I've turned left, in the upper right you'll see sailboats, and so that's a very common sporting thing to do while you're in Santa Barbara. There's plenty of wind. In fact, the wind was blowing somewhere between 20 and 40 miles an hour in Santa Barbara County this day. And again, there you can kind of see the coastline a little bit. As we continue on down the pier, you continue to see more people fishing, and of course you'll see my fingers because I've got nothing better to do with my fingers than stick them in front of the camera. But it's a pretty big pier. There's a lot of storefronts on the pier, and so that's what we're doing now. Is we're starting to walk. We're at the end of the pier, and now we're starting to walk towards the front of the pier. And you'll see on the left side here a lot of restaurants. And the reason I want to bring those to your attention is because, don't tell anybody, but it's more that if you go to these restaurants, you're paying for the experience, not so much the food. Some of the food is okay. I've been to many of these restaurants. Um, to be honest with you, um, my suggestion is pay for whatever's cheapest because the quality is not much different from restaurant to restaurant. So this restaurant up on the left here now, you'll see the big picture of the whale on the side of the building and the side of the restaurant. It is called Moby Dick's, and it is a restaurant I've been to. It's not terrible. One thing I do remember about Moby Dick's is they have good bread. There's something about ocean air and the way that it helps in preparing like a sourdough bread, and they have that there. Anyway, as we continue on, you'll see this cannon. It was dedicated for Stearns Wharf. Just an old cannon, probably helped there to protect Stearns Wharf back in the day. And here now we're starting to head, uh, continuing to head towards the front of the pier, towards Santa Barbara itself. You'll see stores dotting the left, and now I'm crossing the pier. Um, just show you the coastline, show you the beach here. You can see that the pier has added on. So there is this large facility over here. I believe it's an ocean research facility well, it was in front of us. Now it's to my right, to our right. And so this is towards the front of the pier. And now we're walking back towards the back of the pier, which would be on the left. And you'll see a lot of little shops and souvenir shops and little food type shops. It's kind of fun. It's always fun to walk on a pier, especially if it's not something you've done a lot of. And then that's kind of it.
All right, I know I am a .com generation because social media would have looked, the social media generation would have looked at their social media sites and seen that they have a special event at the Far Western Tavern tonight. So we're going to Plan B, which is Shaw's Steakhouse, which is a little bit further up the road in Santa Maria. We'll give Great Western maybe another shot some other time, but they were highly rated, which is probably why they have a special event tonight. But we're going to try Shaw's. Hopefully they're open, and we'll hope for the best. So be back in a few. Hey, good morning. So in uploading all the stuff for the Testosterone Road Trips YouTube channel, it was... I found out that my video did not take for the dinner last night. I mean, the waitress, Brittany, her information took. However, that video took, but I did not get a chance to review the restaurant. So it was Shaw's Steakhouse and Tavern, and that is in Santa Maria, California. Shaw's had like a 4.4 stars on Google, and I would probably say that it was closer to a 4.5. I had the ribeye steak. It was well cooked, maybe a little bit, maybe too much cooking on that. I asked for it medium rare, and it probably came back medium. Really good seasoning on the steak, and so that was good. And then it had all the accoutrements of Santa Maria style food. So I had my grilled piece of garlic bread, I had my beans, and I had the relish plate, which relish slipped my vocabulary last night. I could not think of what I was trying to say, which was green onions, olives, pickles, celery, and carrots. So that was the relish tray. It's always a good thing to kind of get your roughage in. So I got that yesterday in this meat weekend in Santa Maria style cooking. So again, that was Shaw's Steakhouse and Tavern. Brittany, great job on the service. Loved you. It was great. Thanks. Hey, this is Jake. This is Brittany from Shaw's Steakhouse and Tavern.
Howdy.
The only thing better than the steak here at Shaw's was the service from Brittany.
Hi there. This is Jake. I'm from Testosterone Road Trips, where we strive to be our own man. We, on this channel, will bring you ventures that most people would just love to take if they had the chance. So sit back, enjoy the trip, and don't forget, when it's all said and done, be your own man.